What's going on, guys? In today's Trophy Kids, we got an awesome show for you. We're talking about coronavirus finally infiltrating the NFL. We're talking about MLB's lack of ability to get a season going. And we're talking about one of the worst top 10s we have ever seen. So let's go. And welcome to Trophy Kids, presented by Bad News Media. It is June 18th. As always, I'm your host, Nate. My co-host, Mike, is on the other line. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, Nate?
Doing good. We're to that point now, and for those who are listening to this instead of watching it over our YouTube channel, I'm at the point where I desperately need a haircut. This whole COVID postponing the barber can't last long. Dude, my hair goes below my lip at this point. It is.
Eat your hair.
Dude, it is out of control. This is the longest it's ever been. Yeah.
I'm sure it has. About a week ago, I actually got a haircut, and I loved my hair, how it was raging hard. I was like, looks like I'm just shredding some gnar. I really liked it. But then once I got the haircut and they flipped me around and showed me the mirror, I was like, oh, yeah, I really needed that.
Yeah, I'm back, right? Oh,
yeah, I was
need
like,
it.
whoa.
Dude, that's how I've been. There was a point where it was growing out, and I was like, oh, I could actually, deal with this for, I'm all right. I'm doing fine. But, dude, I realized when I got out of the shower the other day, I was like, I can't see anything with my hair down right now. This is ridiculous. This is so long it's in my mouth.
Yeah, you just gotta go and get a cut. If you're able, you just gotta go and you gotta do it.
Yep, I'm going to go, especially just in case, because things are starting to spike again.
Right.
In case something, they shut down barbers again for whatever reason, I have to go get it. I got a wedding coming up I got to go to on June 11th, and this mane has got to get –
You may have missed it if it's on June 11th.
July 11th. Sorry, guys. Sorry I didn't show up. I'll mail a really nice wedding gift. Yeah, July 11th. But it's a good segue because COVID is not gone. I know we kind of made that joke last week. The world is just treating it like it's gone, but it is not gone, and it has infected two Texas teams. Zeke being the most famous player that we know of, which he was a little pissed about that it got released to the media. He claimed HIPAA. It's like HIPAA only applies to doctors and medical professions. But kind of scary, and also kind of puts a little bit of a damper of maybe we shouldn't get too far ahead of our skis. I know we were saying football season is going to truck on and all this, but this thing is still raging with no end in sight.
It really is raging, and the quotes that I heard about it is he's feeling better now, which kind of implies that maybe he wasn't feeling great, which is a little worrisome, especially for someone like Zeke, who is an absolute animal, a physical freak. He's in better shape than 99.9% of the world. But yeah, it's not going anywhere. I know like you said, we kind of made the joke that it's gone because there's just bigger things happening, and maybe that's true, maybe that's not true. But just seeing that it's kind of starting to run rampant in the NFL, and knowing that, say one player gets it, then he's got to do the 14-day quarantine, which means he's missing at least 2 games. It's almost like thinking, well, if this runs rampant through a team, I mean, they could be missing 35% of their team. It's kind of making me a little worried about the season happening. I know we have 2-3 months or whatever it is, but I'm getting a little concerned now, I think.
I agree. I mean, that was always the dilemma, because it spreads with people who don't show any symptoms and are asymptomatic, and the fact that it is an airborne through water droplets. These players are always around each other. They're for days on end, especially when you go think about training camp, they're living on top of each other essentially. In college, I don't know how you do it, because if 45% of the team gets it or potentially has it, you can't just cancel Ohio State versus USC. You can't fly another team in or pull some dude off waivers. That's not gonna happen in college, and in the NFL, it's even worse, because it's I know Bruce Arians was talking. I know one of the things he had suggested is he might be putting one of his backups basically bubble boy style, the week before a game, just in case Tom or one of the players gets it and they can't play. It's going to be weird unless you wrap them in a bubble, which is essentially what some of those teams are trying to do by bringing people down to the Disney Orlando complex and basically just putting them in a bubble. But even then, I don't know, because if you have obviously you're testing before they get in there, but it's tough.
Well, from what I've been seeing, I mean, I think they're going to be testing players. I don't know if this is football, but this is at least one league. They're going to be testing players 3 times a week.
Basketball, I think.
And yeah, okay. And I mean, they're not going to be allowed to lie about it, just because they feel fine. So they're going to have to do that. I mean, the 14-day thing. I mean, that's going to f up some leagues. What if LeBron? What if they're in the finals? And LeBron gets COVID.
Yeah.
The finals are ruined.
Or even say like the guy. Well, I guess they wouldn't be bunking together, but if a couple players have it on the team, if you're the opposing team, how comfortable are you going to be playing a team where you're like, well, unless you test the entire, you're going to just have to test the team. As soon as somebody tests positive, you're going to have to, I guess what you're already doing. I'm doing the math in my head in real time right now. You're already testing them, so you'll be able to say, oh, they don't have it. But still in the back of your mind, there's got to be that part where it's like, well, maybe it was a false negative or something, and like they do have it, like or false positive.
It's not going away quite like we were expecting. The warm weather's doing nothing. Look at Florida; it's doing nothing.
Yep. Texas is surging.
Texas, right? I mean, pretty much every southern warm state. And I know, there's the argument. Well, they're testing more now. Okay, I mean, I don't know. It's like, well, that's good, I guess, but it's still not going anywhere.
No, and the other thing too is like especially with athletes, and you kind of hit it. I'm circling back with when you were like Zeke now says he's feeling better, which means he wasn't feeling good at some point. Which the kind of maybe big lie we've been being told, and there's been a couple, is that if you're young, you're sort of like Supermaning this. Like unless you have an underlying condition, you're kind of impervious to this. Like it might feel like a bad cold or something, but like you're going to be okay. And that may not end up being the case. And the other thing, we were sort of talking pre-show about this. I've heard multiple people kind of say it where it's like, well, these guys are in the best shape of their lives. They'll be able to beat it no matter what. How many times throughout sports have we had guys who nobody knew had an underlying condition and then died? For example, the old lineman or D lineman, I apologize, I don't remember his name, at Maryland a couple years ago, who died in a conditioning drill. Like that happens. The famous basketball player at Loyola, I'm blanking on all these people's names, but like they had heart issues that we didn't know, that people didn't know about ahead of time. And then they ended up dying through the exertion of the game. Well, last time I checked, or what I've heard, and I'm not a medical professional, this affects, like it thickens your blood and has big issues on cardiovascular. Like that could be a huge problem for players. So I think if we're going to push forward, there's an acceptance of like, there are players that could very easily die from this.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be a lot harder than I think we're right now comprehending and getting this done.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, I just think 2 drafts ago when the Redskins drafted Montez Sweat, like the last pick in the first round, he dropped to them because in all the pre-medical stuff, he had some sort of heart condition that no one knew about. I mean, as far as I know, he's going to play regardless, but he's got to be somewhat worried and somewhat aware. And I mean, he's an absolute freak of nature. I mean, he looks like he's fucking Julius Peppers. I mean, but he doesn't want to get it. I mean, there's just tons, and like you said, I mean, there's tons of players that just drop dead on the field. I mean,
that's like a real possibility.
Yeah.
If we're being honest about it. And the other problem too is, and we said this earlier when this happened, outside of the sports where you're a single athlete, golf, tennis, UFC has been doing a good job with this. They have a team around them, but they're singular athletes. It's going to be really, really hard to do organized team sports. They are going to try their best, just like, work offices at most, I would hope, are going to do their best to try to create a safe atmosphere. But and I want sports just as much as the other person does. But it is, like, I think we've kind of just assumed, like, oh, this is easy, we're going to get it, unless you're baseball, which we'll get to in a minute. Like, we're going to push forward, we're going to have it. But I do think the hurdles are actually going to be a lot larger unless you bubble boy city them than we are thinking right now. And it doesn't help that players, there are segments of the population that don't take this seriously in the least bit. I'm not saying be crippled by fear, but like Zeke and Dak were having parties when this thing was exploding, not practicing social distancing. Turns out he gets it. Like, there are segments of this population that don't take it seriously. They don't wear masks. They think you're, somehow weak because you wear a mask. It's like, no, just common decency. Like, I'm not fearing for myself. I'm more afraid of who I may give it to if I have it and I don't know it. Like, it's things like that, there's segments of the population that aren't taking this seriously in the least bit. that are going to ruin it too for everybody else because it's already hard to control if everybody were taking it seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And like we've said before, I mean, it's not necessarily just about the players. There are older coaches, there
Yeah.
are out of shape coaches. I mean, you look at Andy Reid, love him, but he's a big man. Pete Carroll's pretty old. Bill
Real old.
Belichick's pretty old.
Yeah.
Like some,
Pete
and
Carroll's
I
the
mean,
guy that I always forget how old he is because he looks
I
fantastic
know.
for his age. But he's like his almost his 80s, I think, isn't he? At some point, he's always way older.
73-ish.
Maybe that's
Probably
it.
73 or 74. And
I
then
used to way undershoot
the officials are old.
Other good point right there. We've talked about that.
They're old. They're too old, but they're old.
Yeah, Pete Carroll is a guy who I always undershot the number, and now I have a habit of overshooting the number. He's 68. I way overshot at 80. Whoa. Get the fuck out of here. What was I thinking?
It was like 72, 73.
I got in the habit of so undershooting it because he doesn't look his age, but that's still old. Like he's got a what's the this is gonna sound so bad. What's the old person card you get? AARP card. Like he's got one of those. He qualifies for Social Security right now.
Sure does.
Like these aren't spry chickens we're dealing with. And you hit it on the head too. Like I got to imagine that there are a lot of coaches out there that have underlying conditions that we just don't know about, that it's not going to be great if they get this. Like they're going to have potentially, if they don't die from this, complications. Because that's been the biggest thing I've been reading. It's like it's not so much the death rate's high. It's like the complications you get are pretty bad.
I'm just thinking of things right now. I mean, what if your offensive play caller gets it? He's out for 2 games. Who's calling the plays?
That's a good point. Crazy. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be so – yeah, dude, I'm telling you right now, too, I'm not making a bet until right before kickoff if this league's happening. Because I don't need at the last minute being like – because they kept it close to the vest that Andy Reid's out of the game or head coach, or like Tom Brady got it and isn't playing. Like it's not like I don't need that last minute after I put a wager in. Yeah. Now speaking of a league that's not getting it done, talk about a league that's really kind of shitting all over themselves. The MLB. Like every league is trying to push through with this. They are the one league that. And is this, I guess I should phrase this, is it honestly surprising that the MLB isn't currently playing right now and doesn't really have an idea of how to get back to baseball? Like, is this even surprising in the least? But why are we all acting so surprised? This is a group of owners that are the dumbest in all of sports. And a commissioner that's the worst in all of sports.
Mm-hmm. It's always drama. And it's always like egos in the MLB. It's very weird, especially with the owners. It's very strange. I know it's everyone's like natural reaction to say, "Oh, the players are being greedy." Well, you know how much the owners make.
Yeah,
like, come on.
And from what I understand, and this is kind of like my Spark Notes version of what's going on and what I understand of it, the players have agreed to take less than what they're contractually owed if they play X amount of games. They're trying to help out, but the league is being super greedy in wanting to pay them, basically play less games so they pay them way less. And and in my mind, it's like, okay, this is the greed of the MLB, but this is also why there's so much structural issues with the MLB. In my head, it's like, okay, because from what I understand, if the owners think if they play more than, I think it's like 50 games, they're going to lose money essentially. It's like, okay, even if you lose money, nothing is going on right now. The market share you could potentially be growing with no sports going on, the advertising dollars you might be able to get because of higher viewership across the world is worth the loss. Because I don't know if you had noticed, but baseball, you're not exactly growing your audience. Like, you are not a sport that can afford to not be playing. Like, the people that are like, oh, I'm never going to watch baseball again, shut up. Yeah, you are. Like, people who watched baseball before are going to watch baseball. It's the casual fans like you and me who are probably – we're not going to tune in if they're playing and all of the other major sports are going. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Exactly. You nailed it. Not a chance. They're missing their opportunity right now because there's no real sports, constant sports going on. I know golf's back, UFC's back, but there's no everyday sport going on. I mean, actually, Prem League started back today. Woohoo, that's great.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It is awesome. Not being sarcastic there at all. But they've really had a chance to kind of like bring me in a lot. But if you're telling me that when baseball comes back, there's going to be NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, and the NFL is going to be, warming up to start play, I'm never going to watch a baseball game this entire season. And I would have, everything that just happened with the Nats, I would have paid a little bit more attention. But if they take this whole year off, I mean, I'm out again. I'm way out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not coming back in 2021. I don't even like the sport.
No. And the other thing, too, you nailed it, too, right there. It's a global sport. The EPL is going now. Like, you could have had all those soccer fans who are just looking for any sport and introducing yourself to a crowd who normally doesn't watch baseball and potentially gaining more fans and growing the business. Like, yeah, you might take a loss here, but you're growing the business. You're introducing people to teams that they may not be familiar with. Hell, I don't know if you noticed, but there's not a lot of extra things going on. So you can run tons of pieces promoting your players. Because take a page out of the NBA book, the more you promote individual players, the more people tend to latch on to teams or into games because they want to watch whoever's pitching that night because that's their favorite player and his personality brings or whatever it is. Like this group, but this is also the group that like will sue you if you post things that aren't from the official MLB account on social media. So like these people are not smart in growing their businesses, which is astounding given they're like actual business people who own these teams. You'd think they'd be better at this.
I mean, honestly, like you said, they could be promoting players. I mean, like 50 to 60% of the reason why I was watching the Nats last year was simply because of Juan Soto.
Yeah, like
it was awesome.
You latch on to individual players. That's how sports work.
Yeah,
like that's how it really works. Outside of football, maybe like football, college football, you're more of, I guess, a fan of the team. But like even then, you're still latching on to individual players. Like I'll go out of my way to watch games of teams I don't care about because I like X, Y, and Z player. Like that's how that works. I don't know. They seem terrible at running a business, but you also hit it. I think I might become an EPL guy because once again, I don't really watch it. I haven't followed it. I don't know who I'm going to be a fan of, but because no sports are on, you're damn sure I'm going to be turning on the TV when they're playing because they just came back, and I'll be getting into soccer now.
Yeah, dude, get involved and become a Liverpool fan. Just do it. Just do it.
I used to be a Chelsea fan because of Drogba and FIFA, but I had no idea what's going on. Isn't Liverpool essentially like the greatest team ever to walk the earth right now?
I mean, they're really good. I don't know if I'd call them the greatest team ever to walk the earth, but yeah, they're very good.
Okay, that's what I thought. I got something there. I know.
Very good squad.
I know enough to know they were very far ahead in the points, however the point system works, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
At one point, they were super far ahead.
Them and Man City, and then, pretty much everyone else.
Also, kind of hammering on we'll talk more soccer as I watch more maybe there. But hammering on baseball just having a bad week. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard nothing but bad things about the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire 30 for 30.
Oh,
I've heard it's the worst thing ever to run, which is just like baseball just continues to just get beat up this week on absolute nonsense. But I don't know how you make a bad one. That was a super interesting time. I don't know how you screw that up. But apparently they didn't offer anything new, and it just wasn't well done.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah, which is crazy. And also, sort of speaking about cheaters, let's flip sports back to football. This got me going. This gets me going every once in a while when I remember what happened to Reggie Bush. So Reggie Bush's 10 years ago, the Reggie Bush scandal happened. Part of that result was USC could not be associated with Reggie Bush. That is up as of this past week. Social media was flooded with USC basically congratulating Reggie Bush back. I am still in the same boat that I was back then. It is absolutely absurd to me. If I was Reggie Bush, I would not have given my Heisman back. Would you have given your Heisman back? I would have been like, no, fuck off.
No, absolutely not. That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Like, it's so – the amount of – like, there are points where it's like, dude, you got to step out of the tree line and just be like, this is absurd. Like, what are we doing? The guy – like, I get they got in – it's more the school's fault. He got a benefit, and so the team was better because they were giving benefits to different players. His only benefit was his parents got housing. God forbid a kid who's making a university millions on millions of dollars, growing the sport, jerseys flying off the rack. I think he was on the cover of an NCAA game. Yeah, he definitely was on the cover of an NCAA game. God forbid he gets some housing. It didn't make him Like that, he wasn't like he was taking performance-enhancing drugs, which then you have a point. He was still arguably the greatest college player ever to live. But at that
So
point,
good.
yeah, at that point, there was no question about it. He was the greatest college football player to ever live. Like, the man was insane. It had no effect on his ability to perform on the field. It's so stupid to this day.
Yeah, not at all. It was unbelievable, especially just like an electrifying player like him who, like, honestly brought a lot of people on to college football. I mean, Reggie Bush was ridiculous. All USC would do is, because, college has the wide hash marks, they'd go to the left hash, they'd pitch Reggie right. Reggie would run for like 15 yards. They'd be now on the right hash. They'd pitch Reggie left. He'd break one for like 55 yards. It was ridiculous for how good he was in college football.
And even more impressive about it, it wasn't as if it was like, and some of the times, because they had an offense, they had an awesome offensive line. There were giant holes, but there were so many times in those highlight videos where he's zigzagging back and forth, running 10 yards back and then getting 50 yards upfield. Like, the Fresno State one is still the craziest highlights ever. It's insane. He's dodging literally everybody. But yeah, God, like, he can't have the Heisman because his parents got housing when he was at USC. Like, get the fuck out of here. I would have not given my Heisman back, and the Heisman Association should give it back to him. It's absurd.
To get it back, just nothing else to it. He should get it back.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll think it'll come back to me that happened, and I just lose my mind quietly in the corner somewhere. It happens every time. I forget about it, and then I quietly lose my mind. I was losing my mind when that was happening in my apartment for no reason.
Rolling. It was like also like 6 years after he was there. Like,
yeah.
Who cares? Who gives a shit?
Who cares?
He's a millionaire now. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah. So ridiculous. All right, last thing to wrap this up, because we have to talk about this. I sent this to you. CBS, this is a reoccurring segment at this point. Stupid top 10s or rankings. CBS posted this. I saw it on Instagram. It's by Shane Wagner McGuff, I think is his last name. I don't know. He lists his top 10 QBs for 2020. Here's the order, 1 to 10. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger. That is his top 10. I don't know if I've ever seen.
Wow.
Is a good response. It's much better than what I was about to say. I don't even know where to start with this. I'm going to just start with the comment that CBS left. No Rodgers, ? Yeah, that jumped off the page. No Aaron Rodgers on that list. That was just for starters. Yeah. There's a lot more here. Would you like to take the first swing at this top 10?
I'm just going to say the 3 to 4 names that baffle me a little bit. Dak Prescott.
Yep.
Matt Stafford.
Yep.
Carson Wentz.
Yep.
And probably Ben Roethlisberger at this point.
110%.
I mean, what? Also, I don't know. I love him, but Drew Brees, number 4?
Yep. Checking off all the boxes about what I was talking about. It starts out great. No problem with the start with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Cool. Fine.
3.
Yeah. Russell Wilson, 3. I'm cool with that. I mean, I don't think if I was constructing my top 10, which I might give out here, I don't think I'm constructing. I don't know if I'm putting Russell Wilson 3 there, but if you told me 3, I'm not going to be like, all right, you're an idiot. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
The Ben Roethlisberger at 10, that threw me for a big, just jumped off the page when I saw that. Drew Brees 4 also. I mean, Drew Brees, extremely good quarterback historically, but his arm is starting to go. Are we just not going to acknowledge that here? And this is for 2020. So this is going into this season. You think he's the 4th best quarterback right now? Like, no. Dak Prescott arguably has one of the most talented teams in the league. Couldn't make the playoffs. No chance he's number 5. Good quarterback, not number 5 quarterback. The Matthew Stafford also threw me off. Matthew Stafford sneakily has some very good stats, but once again, Aaron Rodgers doesn't even make this list. So to have Matthew Stafford at 7, what are we doing? I don't know what even I don't even know where to begin with the thought process on this.
Zero playoff wins.
Huh?
He has 0 playoff wins.
Yeah.
0. Zippy. None. I mean, if you were to say who is the best quarterback in the NFC North, it's a no-brainer. It's Aaron Rodgers.
Correct.
Duh. But according to this, it's not Fitzmatthew Stafford. Okay.
According to this, Aaron Rodgers doesn't even crack the top 10. Never mind the best in his division.
I mean, that is absurd. Kirk Cousins might be better than Matt Stafford. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about
Matt
that.
Stafford's had a couple 40 touchdown seasons on kind of pooey Lions teams. So I don't know about that. That may have been a little extreme, but still.
Matthew Stafford is the classic. If you look at his stats, you're like if you didn't watch football during this era or this period of time, and you looked purely at the stats, you'll be like, wow, that Matthew Stafford guy's pretty fucking good. Not the case in reality. You're hitting right there. He hasn't won a playoff game. It doesn't. There's more to it. We'll just say that because statistically speaking, if we went just off passing yards, Jameis Winston's one of the greatest quarterbacks the NFL's ever seen, which he gladly pointed out, negating his interception rates, his inability to win football games, things like that. But yeah, it's not all about that. So that was shocking to say the least.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't get over it. I just and I don't I'm not a big love Aaron Rodgers guy, but to not even have him, baffling. Also,
I know this guy's struggled kind of recently, but I mean, even Matt Ryan. I mean, Matt Stafford might not even be the best quarterback named Matt.
It's not unwrong. I also don't. I mean, Tom gets in just because of his history, but going into the 2020 season, I'm not even, and have every reason to want Tom Brady to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I'm not 100% confident I'd put him 9, going into the season.
Rodgers in front of him, for sure.
Yeah, correct. Me too.
I would put Aaron Rodgers at number 3.
I would Deshaun Watson's Dak over Deshaun.
He's
you're
really
telling
good.
me you're telling me right now you're drafting a team today and you have a quarterback. You're picking Dak before Deshaun Watson.
That's comical. That's really comical.
Think about that. You're a GM today. We got to draft quarterbacks. You're going to pick Dak Prescott over Deshaun Watson.
I'm not confident enough to say this quite yet, but give me 4 more games of Kyler Murray, and he might be better than
Dak Prescott. Yes, I agree. Actually,
that's crazy.
If I'm talking about going to 2020, who I think who might be better, I think I'm willing to take the bet. Actually, I'm not going to go that far yet. But yeah, Kyle, that. The fact that that's even potentially it shouldn't be a top 5 quarterback. You're saying top 5 in the league right now? We started draft today. He's the top 5?
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. That's absolutely crazy.
This is one of the craziest top 10s I've ever seen. So I don't know. I was trying to think how I'd rearrange it. Yeah, I'd probably have.
They nailed the top 2. They nailed the top 2.
I'd probably put Rodgers in the top 5.
Yeah, I think Rodgers is in my top 5 as well. Yeah, he is.
I think
he's probably my 4 or 5 is where I'd put Rodgers.
Yeah. Ben moves out.
Yeah.
Stafford moves out.
Stafford's out.
Yeah, I think I moved Matt Ryan into top.
Dak is out.
Yeah.
He's out of the top 10, man. Are you kidding me? Come on. That's insane.
You know what's also crazy? This is not to endorse him as a top 10 quarterback, but what I realized today, Cam Newton's still available. He's still a free agent. He's just hanging out.
Insane.
Am I missing something here?
I don't know.
We got this top 10. We got Cam Newton just hanging out. I just see him posting all the time on social media because he's got nothing else to do besides train right now and hope a team calls him, which how is a team not signed him yet?
I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a Ben Roethlisberger injury that's going to happen away from Duck Hodges. I mean, come on.
Yeah. You're telling me even a banged up Cam Newton, you'd rather have Duck Hodges roll out than Cam Newton?
No.
What is going on?
Oh, man, the world is crazy.
Dude, it's melting. It's melting in front of our eyes.
Right.
Oh, that was sort of my final thought was the Cam Newton thing. You got anything else before we wrap this up?
No, I'm mind boggled.
Yeah, it's a mind boggling to try to wrap your head around that. At some point we should try to put it, I have to think a little bit harder. I just came across it before the show. And I hadn't put a real lot of thought, but oh man, blew my mind. I sent it to you almost immediately. Like, we have to talk about this.
Yeah, that's a swing and a miss.
Yeah, big swing and a miss. All right, we will be back next week. As always, peace.